the idea originated with Steve Coogan. He read an article about Martin Sixsmith's book, and what we had was the story of an Irish lady searching for the son that she'd lost, that she'd given up to the nuns 50 years ago. The thing that really hooked me was to put Martin Sixsmith, who'd written the book, as a character in the narrative. And Martin hadn't written about himself, i.e. his journey towards helping Philomena find her son. And that was Steve's central idea, which was, why don't we do a story about this rather middle-class, Oxford-educated government spin doctor, and this very simple, I mean that in the purest sense, Irish lady, a little old Irish lady, Philomena, and put her and Martin together and make that the story. So that's where we began. I think right from the beginning we said to Martin, this is what we wanted to do, and he was, yes, he bought into it wholeheartedly as well. And we of course also talked to Philomena and said that we wanted to make this really the story of how the book came about. The most interesting thing about this film is that really it's about a death. Right at the core of it, it's about a death. And yet it's a film about life. That's the whole point about what we've done. So I'd like to think that people would come away from this. I want them to be shocked at what happened, and I want them to, if this prompts more mothers and children separated from that era to come together, great. And if it can shine a light on that, fantastic. But really, it's about the triumph of the human spirit, and the fact that after all that happened to Philomena, she came through it, and that she's positive, and that there's love in her heart still. She was raised a Catholic. She carries a lot of guilt for the things that have happened to her in her life still, which is the Catholic way. And she worries that what will people think of me? I think what we managed to make Philomena home in on is that there are still thousands, I suspect, of other people in the same situation as her. And so if by talking about what happened to her, she can, if one more mother and son who are reunited as a result, then that's payment enough for her, But yes, it doesn't come naturally to her. She's not an effusive, outgoing, she's not that type of person. She's a private, very private person. And it's not an assault on the Catholic Church at all. Absolutely isn't. I think what happens during the course of the story is that Martin comes to respect Philomena's faith. In terms of faith, I think it's Martin is quite awed by the strength of Philomena's faith. I think what the target is, and I think this is true of a lot of problems that beset the Catholic Church at the moment, is really it's about truth and reconciliation rather than trying to hide things and cover them up. And I think this is part of that process. I think it's about being honest about what happened in the past. I think that by trying to judge events of 50 years ago by today's standards, that's wrong. And really, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying that it was evil or wicked of Anthony to have been taken away and adopted in 1952, because in Catholic Ireland in the 50s, to have a child out of wedlock was a tremendous, a massive sin, really. And but we don't, that's not the target. That's not what we're saying. Not what we're pointing out as wrong. What it's about is the ensuing 50 years, and in order to try and cover up that original, what had happened originally, compounding it by keeping mother and son apart for decades. That's really the problem. That's the dark heart of the story. Given Steve's background, it's interesting that he chose this story this story caught his attention, because never at any point did we sit down and say, let's write a funny line. I think what we wanted was to play the emotion and I guess the journalism really of uncovering what happened. But we also knew at the back of our minds that Philomena and Martin were an unlikely couple, and to put them together would be interesting, and to explore that clash of cultures would be interesting. So we did have a lot of fun playing with Martin and Philomena and their different backgrounds coming together. But no, we didn't. It wasn't. Never overtly did we look to write comedy lines. And also, Judy was very early into the whole process. I think Steve had, I think, reached out or connected with Judy and got the script to her at a very early stage, and very early we got back that she would be very interested in playing Philomena. So we knew where we were going right from the beginning.